Hey, friends, and welcome back. Gosh, it is hard to believe this is our fourth day, our fourth module, focusing on curriculum design challenge. We're looking at how to design and deliver a comprehensive curriculum so you enjoy a stress-free and successful life. How are you doing on your curriculum map? Are you working through each of the different challenges, each module to create that curriculum map? Well, let's go ahead. Let's check in here. What do you love most about starting a new school year? One of the things that I love most about starting a new school year is that it is fresh. It's kind of like January 1st. It's just a fresh start. You have a new group of kids, or you get to loop with those kiddos, or you've seen your kiddos over the past couple of years. So starting a new school year is just a fabulous, fabulous time. I really enjoyed that. So if you could go ahead and again like and love this video, let other people know about this training, that would be wonderful. I'd really appreciate that, so that we can help as many educators as possible with designing a successful year. Go ahead and eliminate any distractions that you might have. All right, so that way you can focus your attention. We have about a 30-minute module here today. Again, the important dates, this is kind of, what we've done so far. We started out with designing a curriculum map, creating that actual year-long journey. Then we are focusing on developing units of adventure yesterday. And today we're actually going to dig a little bit deeper and take a look at launching those learning lessons. Today is the last day, it's the last module, and all of these trainings will be available in our group through Friday, July 22nd. After July 22nd, then I will pull the trainings down and I will place them in the course library at my online school, the Digital Teacher Blog Academy, and there they will be accessible. Again, this is everything that we've talked about this week, Module 1, 2, 3. Today, Module 4, Launching Learning Lessons. By the end of this lesson, you will have clarity on how to design purposeful and meaningful lessons to meet your students' needs. And of course, this is an implementation challenge. So that means that you are actually working through the process. You're not just sitting and observing and taking in information, but you're actually doing. So by the end of this module, you will have had all of the information that you need to complete a curriculum map. You'll be able to continue revising and solidifying your curriculum map throughout this year and into next year. Make certain that you have your workbook. This is a workbook that I created just for this course. Inside, we'll be working on page 13 today. This is where you can take notes from Module 4. We'll also be looking at pages 14 and 15. And this is an example of what you could use for your weekly lesson plans. And any questions that you have at this moment, go ahead and put those in the comments and I will read those and respond to those comments. And let's go ahead and move on. Let's take a look at our success criteria. What we're going to focus on today is assessing learning, because we know that our assessment is what drives our instruction, drives that learning. We're going to make certain that we are aligning our standards with the task. We're going to be designing some tasks for students to complete. And then also we're going to talk about what's next. And first, let's take a look at assessing learning. There are 3 questions that you need to think about whenever you're assessing learning. What do we want students to learn? Question 2, why do the students need to know this or to learn this information? And question 3, how will we know that the student learned? Okay, how will we know that they have that knowledge? This here is a review of all of the information that we've done so far, all of this prep work that is building up to this point. Okay, those 3 questions again. What do we want students to learn? We will always want to focus on those students' needs. Remember yesterday we really talked about knowing your students, knowing how they learn, knowing what their background learning experiences are. We want to make certain that everything that we do is aligned directly to those standards, which guide the curriculum and then the programs, so that way we can teach the content. If you don't have curriculum or a program, then you can still teach as long as you have those standards. The next question is, why do the students need to know this information? So when you're doing a lesson, you always need to stop and think, why do the students need to know this? What is it? How is this information going to help them? The information that you're teaching should be based upon prior knowledge. Remember, you start with that foundation and build up. Then you add that new knowledge. And then finally, you also need to be thinking that next learning sequence. So why do the students need to know this? That prior knowledge, you're adding on more knowledge, and then there's also always that next step where the students are headed. And that third question, you need to ask yourself, how will we know the students learned? We have assessments, but remember we talked about not everybody learns and can demonstrate their learning on paper and pencil. So there needs to be other ways to do that. One way is with a performance assessment. Those are the 3 questions that you need to make certain that you are answering while you are planning those lessons. The one thing to keep in mind is that when you are working with a district program, or if you're working with a homeschool agency or private school, when you're working with any program, the program is not going to know your students. The program is not going to know what experiences that they have had. So it's important that you take that student's knowledge that you have and use that as a part of your lessons. So we don't want to think of that program as being a cookie cutter, right? So that you can deliver that exact same program in every single classroom. You can deliver that exact program from year to year. The reason why you cannot do that is because we have new students. We have students who are not the same each year. Even if you loop with your students, when I say loop, I mean that you teach them in one grade and you teach them in the next grade and perhaps even another grade, depending upon the philosophy of your school. So even though we have our students and they go from year to year, they're still going to be learning new things and have other experiences that we do need to take in consideration whenever we are teaching and then developing that knowledge, facilitating that knowledge essentially for that student. All right. So after we've done all that, we know the reasons, why we're teaching this content, and we know what we want for the outcome. What if we get to that outcome and the student does not learn the content? What do we do? Interestingly, that is a question that is often not discussed in the program manuals. Oftentimes, they just tell you teach lesson A, teach lesson B, teach lesson C. And what do we do if we don't know? Or what do we do if a student doesn't learn that material? Remember before in our module 3, we talked about pre-teaching, reteaching, and accelerating. So this will be an opportunity for you to do some reteaching, but you want to make certain that it's purposeful reteaching and not just teaching what you just taught the same way. And we'll talk more about this later on in our module. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a little step back here. And I want you to think, what kinds of questions do you have? And put those questions in the comments. All right, let's go ahead and move on. The next success criteria we're going to look at is aligning the standards with the task. Now, as I shared before, when you have those programs and you're in the overall curriculum, all of that should already be aligned because that's what the publishers are paid to do. If you have a team in my school district, we have a curriculum team, and their job is to make certain that when we are looking at curriculum, that it is aligned to the standards, to our state Alaska standards. So all of that big type of information should be done. But always remember the standards, those are your expectations, what it is that you want the students to learn. There's those grade level standards and content. Why do we integrate curriculum? We talked about interdisciplinary, thematic, cross-curricular planning yesterday. Remember, it's meaningful and it's purposeful. The students get an opportunity to dig and dive, go deeper into their learning, and it's just not the superficial learning. What are the advantages? As a result, students are more motivated, engaged, and they experience that cohesive learning. So we need to align our standards and our lesson tasks. So what standards and content needs to be taught? The completed curriculum analysis. The curriculum analysis that you did, the year at a glance, the unit design, that is what you need to make certain is taught, because that you developed based upon your curriculum, the program and the standards. Okay, that's what was developed. That's what needs to be taught. The district will actually have, or private school, or that program, they will actually have that information, that curriculum that must be taught, right? Now, number two, how do we know this needs to be taught? Well, knowledge of students. Remember we talked about knowing your students, right? Knowing the learners. How do we know this needs to be taught? We have knowledge of students. We have their interest. We know their learning intelligence. Whether it is kinesthetic, whether it is interpersonal or intrapersonal, whether it is more literary or more logical. We know what their learning intelligences are. And if you want to do a little bit more research, that's Howard Gardner is the person who did the research on learning intelligences. And also, just another note, Kagan is a kind of like, we use the word Kagan like we use the word Xerox or Kleenex, but he is a person who has developed several different cooperative learning strategies and structures that we use in education. And he has a lot of information on multiple intelligences as well. So that's another resource that you could use. How do we know this needs to be taught? We have the knowledge of students' prior knowledge, their schema, their background knowledge. So if we know that students need to be taught division, but if they are still struggling with subtraction, it's going to make the division part more complicated for the students to understand. So do we want to be teaching division whenever we still have some subtraction skills we need to work on? That gets a little tricky in there, because you still need to provide that instruction for that student to develop those lower level foundational skills before they can do those higher level thinking skills. Knowledge of learning sequence, the task analysis. So it's kind of, when you think about task analysis, I always think about an infant. What first thing an infant's going to do before they can actually start walking? Well, first they need to get up on their hands and their knees, and they start rocking back and forth, right? Then they start to scoot on their belly or do that army crawl. Then they start to actually move by crawling. Then they pull themselves up, and then they're going to be walking around the table, and then they're going to start taking some steps. So that task analysis is breaking down that lesson, that skill that you're teaching, way down into it step by step by step. And so you have your standard, you have your task that you're going to be using to teach that standard, and it needs to be broken down so that way the students can understand it. Okay, if you're talking about author's purpose, as a standard, you're not going to start using the term author's purpose and start writing, about author's purpose and asking questions about that. You need to break that down and read lots of different books, different genres, and talk about why did the author, go to the store in this part of the story. If you're talking about author's purpose in reading, when you're talking about author's purpose in writing, why did the author use bold print to express feelings? So you really need to break it down, and then soon those students will start to see, okay, there's author's purpose in reading and author's purpose in writing. And as I read and I write, I also have a purpose. And all that's in that task analysis. So when you look at your standard, stop and think what it is that you're teaching, and make certain that the foundational skill is there. And you need to go down to that before you add on that new piece of knowledge. When we start skipping those pieces of knowledge, then our students start having those gaps in learning. And we know that our curriculum map does not have any academic gaps, and it does not have any needless repetition. And it has what the students need to learn at that time. All right, so any questions on all of that? All right, so all of the different things that we're talking about, it is really just kind of like more of a general, a general discussion. Each of these components that we're talking about, we can actually dig deeper down into. There could be an actual another class on looking at the standards and matching up the standards in the lesson or the task with that standard. There's just so much it is, and it's really hard. I mean, there's no way for me to get all of this into just, these little 20-30 minute modules when we're talking about the curriculum design. But as we get into this component of lesson design, it really goes deeper as well. So if you have any questions, let me know, and we'll go ahead and continue on. All right, so now we're talking about designing the tasks. And I did mention a little bit about this whenever we were when I was giving you the example about the baby, right? The infant starting to learn how to crawl and then to walk. So on the bottom here, you'll see that there are 5 stars, and these are the different stages from left to right that a person goes through whenever they are learning. And what we need to make certain that we are doing as teachers to deliver our lessons, okay? So the first question up here is, how will the students learn the material? Okay, so as a teacher, I want you to think, how are you going to engage the students in the learning? What will you do to help that student explore that content or that task? What are you going to do to allow that student to explain his or her learning? How will you extend the learning for that student? And then what different ways will you evaluate that student's learning? And that's what you think about from the teaching perspective on this learning cycle. From the student's perspective, the students, they want to engage, and you need to make certain that when the student engages, that they are able to engage with their learning intelligence. When they are engaged in the learning, they are exploring, they are asking questions, they are trying to figure out, manipulate the concepts so that they understand. Then the students can actually explain, they can teach another person about that concept. And after they're done teaching, they're ready to start learning something new. And when they are ready to learn something new, then they are taking all of this information, knowing where they're going, and then they are able to do a self-reflection about their own learning. And that's when they evaluate. So that's the learning cycle for the students that they go through. When we are looking at engaging, how will students learn material? There are many, many different instructional options. The SWEET instructional option is going to target the students' learning intelligence. I mentioned Kagan cooperative learning strategies. Using any type of cooperative learning strategy is going to help students because they are able to share that knowledge, and they're able to listen to their peers and how they express their knowledge to work together. And with that synergy that they're developing, they're able to come up with an answer depending on what the content is that you're discussing. How will students learn material? Instructional options that the teacher has. Okay, and that's going to be different based up by the teacher. Also, whole group, small group, and one-on-one. Having opportunities during the day where you're teaching a whole group, then you can do a workshop format or pull a small group while the other students are working. And sometimes you need to do that one-on-one. And one-on-one can be used for a pre-teach, a reteach. It could also be used for an extension. A small group could be used for a pre-teaching, a reteaching, or it could also be used for an extension. It just depends on what the needs of the students are. Do you see how all of this can actually go deeper and deeper? So what I'm sharing with you is just kind of like that surface level. And then how will the material be delivered? So you have your content, you have your standards, you have your lesson, you've broken it down into different tasks. How are you going to deliver this material? Again, instructional options. That's up to the teacher because the teacher knows the students. And instructional strategies. Okay, there's different ways that you can engage the students in learning, and those are some strategies. The learning intelligence of the student, we've talked about that. The experiential opportunities, right? When students learn by doing, then they're going to learn more because they have an opportunity to engage more with the content or the task. And then, as I mentioned before, cooperative learning strategies. So those are some great ways and options that the teacher has on delivering that material. And when you're delivering that material, those are the opportunities that you're providing for the students to explore the content and then also start explaining. All right, well, let's move on to the next slide. So during this assessing for understanding, so during the instructional and the learning process, right, we have engage, explore, explain, extend, and evaluate. During this process, we always gather more data to monitor ongoing assessment of learning. When you're gathering the data to measure what's happening, so like every single day, you're going to be gathering data. And we call that a formative assessment because it's forming your opinion on how the student is doing in meeting the grade level standards that are part of the program and the curriculum. So those formative assessments are going to guide you in what you do the next day. So even though we write out a lesson plans for a week, we have lesson plans essentially written out for a month right now based upon what work we did yesterday. So we take that information and we break it down into a weekly format. However, if we're doing a lesson and the students don't quite understand it, we're not going to skip. We're not going to go just to the next lesson without providing some opportunities for review. Okay, because then that next piece of knowledge that you're building on top of, the students are not going to fully understand that. Some students will, some students won't, and then based upon that, you'll know if you need to do whole group, small group, or one-on-one instruction. I hope that makes sense. Another is summative assessment. So the summative assessment, those are the assessments that are done over a broader amount of time. For example, end of the year assessment is a summative assessment. It's a summary of all the learning that's been taking place. Summative assessments could also be end of unit assessments because it's over a longer, period of time, 4 to 8 weeks. My sweet spot 6. So that amount of time. Summative assessment could be just by the semester. A summative assessment could be at the end of a course, maybe at the end of a course that's not a full year long. So a formative and a summative assessments, that's what you're going to be using to guide your lessons, especially the formative assessment. Once you're in the school year, you're going to be using formative assessments all the time. There's not a day that goes by when you're not making an assessment. If you have a journal and the students are writing in a response to a question that you pose at the end of the day or at the end of the lesson, that is another great way for you to assess their learning. Also, performance. The students are actually performing, putting together to demonstrate how they solve a math problem. That is another way for a performance assessment. When students are writing, that's a performance as well. So there's lots of opportunities, different ways to gather information on students' progress. But wait. Why wait? We come back to that question. What do we do if the student does not learn the content? All right. So if the students do not learn the content, this is, again, just the tip of the iceberg, right? You reflect and you reteach. When the students do not understand the content, as a teacher, what you need to do is an error analysis. What did they get wrong? Do you find any patterns or any commonalities? So you need to analyze that. You also, as a teacher, need to reflect upon the instruction that you provided. You also need to reflect upon the learning needs of the students. The lessons that you were providing, did you make certain that you reached that individual student? Another thing that can always happen are absences, right? Absences happen. Students are gone. We're giving a lesson. They come back and we're moving on. And that's a reality, unfortunately. And we can't go home with a student, right? Unless we're homeschooling. But we can't go home with a student and teach them. So you need to make certain that you do have alternative ways for students to get that information. Sending the work home and expecting the parents to do it is not going to work for everybody. So think about what are some other ways that you can do that. And oftentimes it comes into pulling the student in for a reteaching group, pulling the student in to do a one-on-one, or using technology as an advocate for learning there. All right, after you've done an error analysis, reflected up on your instruction, reflected up on the learning needs of the student, then you need to make an instructional change. If you keep doing the same thing that you've been doing, you're going to get the same result, right? So you need to do something that's different to meet that student's needs. And then you do that. You make that change, and then you reteach, and then you reassess. You assess the student again to see if the student made progress. And if the student did not make progress, then you need to go through this process again. Do not hesitate to ask other educators what to do to help that student. That's why I really like our group that we have, Engage, Educate, and Excel, because we can ask each other questions and we can help each other solve those problems. So don't hesitate to reach out to your colleagues and ask questions. This is a situation. This is what I've done. This is what I tried to do again, but I'm still not getting anywhere. What can you do? What can I do? Do you have any ideas? All right. So if you look at the star over here on the side, the engage, explore, explain, extend, and evaluate. That's the learning process that our students go through. And as teachers, we take them through that process. So be thinking about what you are doing to help the student in each of those different areas through your lesson design. All right. My goodness. All right. What kinds of questions do you have? Write them down, put them in the chat box so that way I can help you out. And let's take a look at the next section here on Module 4. What's next? All right, so what's next? From here, you have everything that you need to develop a curriculum map. You're going to be tweaking that all year long, and then you're going to have a different curriculum map at the end of the year than one that you started with, and that's perfectly fine, okay? Then you're going to take that map and build up on it the next year. So working on that curriculum map is what's next. Again, these are the modules that we've been focusing on this week, and they are available for you until Friday, July 22nd. Then I'll pull them down. And as I shared, I'll put them in the Digital Teacher Blog Academy. Okay. At that point, what I'd like to share with you, if you would like to continue to have lifetime access to all 4 modules, the lifetime access to all 4 modules on the Digital Teacher Blog Academy, the value of these four trainings is $1,750. But I would like to be able to offer you lifetime access to all 4 modules in this design challenge for $97. So if you find value in all of these modules, then and how these modules can help you write that curriculum, how you're going to be able to use it again next year to change it, because you're going to be always revising, and it will always be great to come back to these modules so that way it can help you continue to advance your curriculum map. If you go into a new grade level or a new content area, you'll still have that information. So if you're interested in having the VIP All Access Pass to all of these modules, then you can go to the website here, the digitalteacherblog.teachable.com, and you'll be able to purchase that part if you'd like to do that. Okay. If you would like to have the VIP All Access Pass plus a level up, the level up are 2 exclusive one-on-one coaching sessions with me, where you and I will be able to meet on Zoom, and we can go over any of the questions that you have about literally anything. But I'm assuming that it would be about the curriculum map, or perhaps some instructional questions or things like that. But it's 2 45-minute exclusive coaching sessions with me. I have a special link that I'll be posting in this course here. So if you would like to do that, you would just click on the link, and then you would schedule a time on my calendar, and then you and I will connect and go over anything that you have that you need some support with. So VIP All Access plus the level up. The level up are 2 exclusive coaching sessions with me, and that's $297. And then you also have that lifetime access for the VIP access, the modules. I wanted to share those two with you. And then if you would like to purchase either one of these by next Friday, July 22nd, I have a special bonus for you. And this year, my bonus is my Ultimate Teacher Planner. So some of the pages that you've been seeing in our module are actually pulled right from my Ultimate Teacher Planner this year. And if you sign up for either one, either the VIP All Access or the VIP Access Level Up, either one of those will get you the Ultimate Teacher Planner. And that has everything that you need to plan out the successful year, the week by week lessons. The organizers are in there as well. Everything that you need all in one space. And it is a printable resource that you can print off, put it in a binder or get it bound, keep it with your curriculum map resources that you have, and you will be all set and keep all that together. But the Ultimate Teacher Planner is available through next Friday, July 22nd. And then after July 22nd, then that special will no longer be available. Finally, I want to announce, I'm so excited about this. This is launching in actually not September, it's actually in August. I should have changed that date. It's going to be launching in August. It is going to be a group coaching PLC, what we say, or professional learning community. So this group coaching is a private group coaching sessions that we will have on Zoom for all the people that are participating that month. It is 10 months total, starting in August, running through September, and we will meet twice a month. So there'll be 21-hour sessions available all year. I have early bird registration going on right now through August 10th, 2022. And after August 10th, then the price will go up. Okay. So right now, if you're interested in the fall semester only, from August through December, that would be 10 one-hour sessions, and that would be $500 total. If you're interested in the spring semester, again, that's January through May, and that is also 10 one-hour sessions, and that's $500. If you're interested in the full year group coaching, that's August through May, and that is 10 months of coaching at 21-hour sessions. And if you are just not quite sure, or if you need some help, different little points throughout the year, then I do have a monthly subscription available, and that's $125. And then you'll also be able to participate in the monthly session that you purchase, where it'll be 2 one-hour sessions for that month. So we'll meet twice a month, 1 hour each. Each session is 1 hour, and we'll meet for 10 months total throughout the school year, August through May. If you have any questions about any of that, let me know. And again, you can go on to the Digital Teacher Blog Academy on my Teachable website, and you can go ahead and make that purchase. And this is the price that is set through August 10th. So just under a month, we have about 3 weeks at this price, and then it will increase. So I just wanted to give you all a heads up because you're participating in the curriculum challenge. All right. So I want you to always remember that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And you have that opportunity to ignite the learning in all of the students that walk through the door to your classroom. Always make time for what makes you happy. Using a curriculum map to plan the year is going to allow you time to do what makes you happy, allow you less stress, because you have a lot of the planning is done and you're able to work in advance to get things prepped, so you're not doing it at the last minute. Again, the year-long bonus is using that year-long Ultimate Teacher Planner, okay? Expires July 22nd. The VIP access for all the modules is $97. Lifetime access, the VIP lifetime access for all the modules plus 2 45-minute coaching sessions with me, $297, and you're able to purchase either one of those at the digitalteacherblog.teachable.com. And if you're interested in the group coaching that I'm launching this August, not September, it's in August, then you can also register for that there as well. All right. Don't forget to follow me on social media, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Visit my blog website, thedigitalteacherblog.com. Thank you so much for sticking with me over these 4 modules. I hope that you walked away with a lot of really good information, especially on how you can have a successful year this year. If you found value in anything that we discussed and you have some friends, some family members, some colleagues who would be interested in this information, please do me a favor and share with them. It is my goal that we have as many educators as possible have a successful year. Teaching is not an easy job to do, and working together and helping each other is what I like to do. And I hope that that is something that you like to do as well. So don't keep this a secret, share it with others, okay? And they can access this information at my blog website, or they can contact me with an email. They can also go to my online store, the Digital Teacher Blog Academy, and register for any of these courses as well. All right. Thank you so much. I hope that you have an amazing day. And don't forget to review all of this information and get that curriculum map done. I look forward to hearing some more about your success in our group, Engage, Educate, Excel. Have a great day. Take care. And this is a wrap. Bye bye.